Well, I should introduce you two, right?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
what are we,
You
what are
haven't
we doing here?
officially been introduced. I can tell
I think,
you.
No, tell me what I'm doing here.
Oh, okay. Well, you're here.
please.
You're here on the schedule
Okay.
that we did, right? Like, because we're gonna talk every Friday.
Yep.
Yeah, but I decided, but I wanted to make this talk, kind of neat because I said I was trying to provide you value as well. Slugalisk, I don't know his real name. I don't know if it matters. Is an expert on. It's kind of weird. He's like a programmer guy. I should probably let him describe, but I think it'll be funnier if I do it. He's like a programmer guy, but he's also like a genius when it comes to like numbers and stats crunching and shit like that. And he has a project he's been working on to determine what Twitch discovery is all about. And so I thought that we'd introduce him and have you two talk. Maybe there's something there. But also, I think it's going to be a really fascinating conversation to get into the actual numbers of Twitch discovery. And then we can also meme about Creator Camp and some of the other things that just came out.
Good.
Good.
Sorry.
Thanks. The goal of my project is actually like, I want to write software that helps streamers with like the aspects of streaming that are either like better suited to computers or like difficult or tedious for content creators. Like, I feel like we have a lot of information about like how streams perform, but we have much less information about how individual users within those streams perform. And I think that like a lot of the distributions that we see are like really long tails. So if you're looking at things like means, they're not particularly informative. That's where you get issues like, you know, if you look at a smaller stream, if you look at like average time viewed per viewer or something like that, you might get the mistaken impression that that users are viewing the smaller streams longer than the larger streams, but it's really just like the law of large numbers comes into play, and you start to see that like the number converges towards the expected mean when you look at a larger stream that's going to have more samples than a smaller stream. I don't feel like a lot of people are focusing on this, partly because like it takes collecting an absurd amount of data. Like the processing is going to be a little bit more computationally intensive, but I think if we like focus on like individual streamers that are working with our platform, it'll be really valuable. This is tied into the thing that like I'm working with Steven on.
Hang on. So like I only understood maybe 5% of that because you were talking like you were on
I got
fire. Maybe the more intelligent my more intelligent counterpart here, Sevadus, got that. But can you repeat that for the stupids?
So like, yeah, you're like you're like an astrophysics memer, right?
He is,
for like
yeah.
economics. Yeah. So you understand this, like, like
I'm
obviously,
not,
like this is like intro. Sorry, I apologize. Basically, like when, so you're familiar with like the Pareto principle, right? Like the 80-20 rule.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay,
Yeah,
so
very
20% of your, so 80% of your effect is caused by 20% of like the cause.
Yes.
So when you see distributions like this, there was, what was this guy's name? He wrote the book, the Black Swan event.
Nassim Taleb.
Yeah. He's done some research into this, and apparently, in order for the mean to be meaningful enough that you can do like statistical inference based on observations as opposed to experiments, you need some absurd amount of samples. Usually this is only applied in like physics where like you have the universe to work with. But when you're looking at, when you're trying to do studies based on like human interaction or whatever, you have a lot fewer people to work with. The threshold for statistical significance is something like 1.86 times 10 to the 14th or something like that. So it's far more users that even if you looked at like the entirety of Twitch, you're ever going to see. So when you see these distributions, like if you're looking at the mean might not necessarily tell you anything about what the user behavior would actually be expected to be. The mean might be like completely off because it's skewed so much by the long tail. Like when you look at a small stream, the small number of dedicated viewers that you have that are watching, 70, 80, 90% of your content are going to throw the mean so far that it becomes completely uninterpretable.
When you say, you keep referring to something called the distribution, what is that?
So like if you, actually I can send you,
just wiki.
Yeah, like
Let's
no,
find
no,
a
sorry. I
picture.
understand what a distribution is. I mean, the distribution of what? Viewers? Like what do you?
Whatever statistic you're talking about.
Yeah,
Minutes
what
watched.
statistic is he talking
It
about?
doesn't. It doesn't matter. He's not talking about a specific statistic. He's just talking about small and big number problems. So this is just like the intro to get into what you're to an actual thing.
Okay.
Do you need to be framed in a specific number? Because that can be done too, I'm sure. Like let's just use minutes watched. Let's use minutes watched.
Yeah, here I can show you like the distribution of minutes watched for followers versus non-followers for your channel. Do you mind if I share this with your community?
Not at all. No.
Okay, I'm just gonna post it in Twitch chat.
And I'll literally pull it up on my my stream.
I guess I should go to your stream. Yeah.
Oh boy, I don't know what the hell this means.
So this is a cumulative distribution. This is a cumulative distribution function of your viewers' time watched. So we're looking at like individual users and the amount of time over like I think it was from like the 20th to the 25th or something like that. The amount of your stream that they watched. The important thing that you note about this is that like there are a large number of people who are watching for like 5 minutes or less. We're doing this in 5-minute intervals, so we don't have a ton of granularity. I imagine Twitch could provide you more information if they provided this. But then you have like a really long tail of users who are watching for, you know, a much more significant amount of time. And so the mean for this might be like 180 or 200. But the expected value for a new user arriving at your stream is actually closer to like maybe a minute. I think in one of the talks that you did with Sevadus previously, you said that like the average if you look across all streams is something like, was it 40 seconds or 50 seconds?
Yeah, it's around there. I'll have to go back and look, but it's certainly sub 1 minute. And I think the 50% mark for a new channel visiting a channel. Oh, it's like 25 seconds. It's like nothing. Yeah, it's something like 25 seconds.
Yeah, and so you're basing that on like average viewers times stream duration divided by views or something?
No. I'm basing that off of something I can't talk about. How's that? NDA. It came from a very good source. I'll just put it that way.
I'm actually really curious about this because I'm looking at ways to like Twitch is one of the places that I'm looking collecting information from, but I'm also looking at like collecting information from YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and Reddit, and a lot of these provide like fire hose feeds that you can consume if you can like find a way to like store and meaningfully aggregate the data. But like Twitch provides some information, but then I don't know. I feel like it could be easier to get at.
There's no information. So I don't. There is no such thing as a Twitch fire hose.
No. Do you have like a back channel into like Twitch, or are you using like extensions to monitor activity, or like?
So
really can't.
Both of those, yes, but also that specific number. I'll message you.
It's
Cool.
probably right, is what he's saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, meanwhile, I have no idea what this graph says. What's like, can you just take one line and explain it to me? Like, it's okay. So 5 minutes viewed. I get that part. Then it says false 0.1430. I have no idea what that means. And then everything past that, I have no idea what that means.
So minutes, this is the people who've disabled notifications for your stream. So these are people who are watching your stream, who are logged in and who were followers. And then we're comparing the followers that you had who had disabled notifications and who had enabled notifications. There was I noticed that you had like a notifications flag in your chat.
Yeah, after Sev told me that about...
Add me as a friend.
Huh?
Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
Oh. After Sev told me that literally anyone that's been watching my stream like longer than like the last 2 years Twitch turned off their notifications for all streams. It was at one point. So so I've been encouraging people to turn it back on because it's one of the best ways to find me.
There you go. I forget what the bug. I forget what it was actually. Now that I can't. Since we talked about it last, I've actually been meaning to try to go back and remember what the hell happened. Something happened. I forget what it was, and it took all those old ones. And if they had not manually set it ever, so if they had turned notifications off and then back on, it stayed on. But if they had never set it, like if it was at a default value, then I got turned off. Does that make sense?
Okay, I
Yeah, it
understand.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's that. I'm trying to remember the reason. I think it's a publicly known reason as well. Like it's a public thing.
They needed to make it like opt-in as opposed to opt-out or something because of some regulatory concerns.
Yeah, it could have been something like that actually.
Should I open this on stream, this followers thing?
You can if you want to. This is the over time, the number of your followers who have chosen to disable notifications.
How do you have this? What the?
Twitch makes a lot of really interesting information public. The only problem is that like there are some like they have caching implemented for some things, which makes it difficult to get below a certain level of granularity.
Yep. And that caching is really annoying because it's
really,
distributed across the world, and you don't necessarily know what pop you're hitting all the time. There's a whole bunch of just annoying things that happen with Twitch because of that.
Was my first stream? Oh, I'm sorry. 2012, 09 up till now.
This may not be comprehensive. I think I actually clipped the left off of this because there was some like some data that was like a significant trend break where I was convinced that it was my fault. But this is most of your history anyway.
What Twitch should do, and they're not doing, is they don't provide historical. So you kind of have to farm it as it goes, which is very annoying.
So I have no information about followers who have left your stream. I literally just pulled this followers list like last night. Okay. So this is not comprehensive by any stretch of the imagination. It's just like the people who are currently following you, and then I can see the date that they followed you and whether or not they have notifications enabled or disabled.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
I see. So wait. So 14,536 of my followers, sort of as of now, have notifications enabled.
Mm-hmm.
You would think I would get a lot more viewers then.
Does this graph really make that much sense though? Because this is the false true part's based on right now, right?
Nothing makes sense to me here, but
it's based on current time.
Excuse me, that's actually backwards. So you have 21,000 people who haven't disabled. This is Sevadus is right. It's backwards. Okay. So the true is true. They have disabled notifications because that's how Twitch tracks it. I didn't bother to like change it to make it more intuitive. So you have 21,000 people who are currently receiving notifications from you. But if you look at the other chart, the distribution chart that I sent you, it kind of explains this a little bit. I don't think Twitch notifications are actually useful.
Oh.
I'm
Twitch.
I haven't proven this yet, and it may be that it just doesn't work on your scale. Maybe if I look into more streamers, because obviously I need to like look across more than just your channel. I'll find that this doesn't actually bear out. But looking at you and then looking at, I also looked at Giant Waffle. I'm not sure if you're okay with me sharing that, but I can at least send it to you.
This is all public data, so it's fine.
Okay.
You can get all this anywhere. Tons of places to get this data.
Can pull it publicly from their API, or yeah, it's also on like Selenium and stuff. I don't know if it's like presented this way exactly, but it doesn't seem like there's a significant difference between the behavior of users who are subscribed or who are following you and have notifications enabled versus following you and don't have notifications enabled. And obviously, like Giant Waffle is a much larger streamer, so these numbers are maybe a little bit more accurate, or it could be that there are like differences in behavior between there's a lot of like, we can't really draw any like causal inferences from any of this information. We're just like, we can sort of like look at it and see what it looks like, and it's kind of like curiosity at this point, and then hopefully eventually we'll be able to come up with methods to derive more meaningful like statements about, or derive more meaningful statements from it. But at this point, it's really just exploratory and trying to like nail down stability of data ingest. And
man, I wish I could say things. There's a few. Yeah,
most of what
we can talk about offline.
Shit. Okay.
It's okay. No, there's plenty to talk about. There's just a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I've only been looking at this for like a very short period of time, and I may have come to like completely wrong conclusions at this point. And I would be very interested to hear that, like super, super interested, because it
I
would probably
too
save me a lot of time moving forward.
would be very interested. Yeah.
Your hypothesis that notifications, how useful do you think notifications are?
I couldn't quantify it at this point, but I don't think they're very, like, I don't know. I couldn't put that into an exact number.
That's pretty accurate. I can say that.
Oh, well, that's exciting.
Yeah, notifications. The problem with notifications is, first of all, so many of them got chopped off a few years ago. Second part is they're incredibly ineffective because a lot of people just disable them because there's too many. Twitch is having a problem right now, I think, where if you think about it, when you go live, let's say when Devin goes live, what is that? That's 36,000 people that have to potentially get notified, right? Obviously, I don't. What's the rate right now? Like 50%, I would assume. Some you have that.
I think like 21,000 people who are going to actually receive a notification who hadn't disabled it yet.
Okay, so 21,000 people are going to receive a notification. However, those notifications have so many different paths that they travel across, right? A notification could be email. If you're on site, it's going to be top right-hand corner. If you have the app, it's a different notification in app, right? There's a whole bunch of different ways that Twitch notifies. And because of that, I think there's no, I get what I mean, the whole concept there was shotgun, right? If you throw a whole shitload of notifications at somebody, hopefully they see one of them, right? And I think what that does, unfortunately, is it does, I think, somewhat of the opposite, right? It annoys people and it tells them to turn their notifications off. So right now, as far as I understand it, Twitch is actually going through an entire notification rework, just because instead of doing that shotgun effect, if notifications are more surgical, right? If they're more, okay, I click the chime to be notified, and then I get a choice of how I want to be notified.
Yeah.
Does that increase the number of people actually getting notified? And I think there's something to be said for that. That's not happening right now, but I think that's kind of the direction that they're looking at. It's the direction that makes sense, because when it comes down to it, everybody wants to be notified in their own way. Like for me personally, I want to be, and I can say this. How can I say this in a way that's, for example, my notification system is I click the following button, and this is also the way most people get notified. I'll just put it that way. By clicking the follow button. That's how I choose to get notified. I don't really want to get notified of anybody ever going live at any point during the day on any other device. And that's just a me personally thing. However, I do want to be notified by email, because what I do obviously is I keep all those emails, and then I can create fun data and all that kind of stuff off of those emails, which I do. So I think for everybody, it's a different, they're all going to approach notifications in a different way. Some people want to get it on their smartwatch, right? Some people want it to be blasted in their face for certain creators. And then other people just want to be left alone, but maybe have reminders, right? So maybe one of the notification styles ends up being just, you're notified by it being on a recommended list somewhere or something like that, a much more subtle way of doing it. But everyone has their own way of being notified. And I think Twitch's shotgun approach to doing notifications is proven to be ineffective just because it is the shotgun approach. It's not a personalized approach to notifications. I think that's why it's pretty incredibly low.
Ineffective.
Yeah.
How would you feel about them implementing something like YouTube's, where like you opt in to be notified, but then based on your engagement with a particular content creator or a particular type of content, you may or may not receive a notification based on some internal fuzzy logic?
Yeah, no, I think that's a very important and powerful thing, right? Especially if so my alt account follows 2,000 channels on Twitch. And that's actually what I use to like annoy Devin and other, like, they don't know who it is. And I've never told anybody that account, right? It's been banned from so many channels. It's amazing. And I just love it. And then sometimes I'll have to go into somebody's channel and unban it if I'm a moderator in the channel, because I was just giving them help. But point is that account, right, with 2,000, there's 2,000 accounts that it's following, all with notifications turned on. It makes no sense to notify me of everything, right? I should be notified of of some sort of algorithm that, I mean, we know how YouTube does it, right? How YouTube chooses what shows up in your notifications is they essentially use machine learning. They don't know how it works. YouTube doesn't know how it works. YouTube just sets the end goal, right? And the end goal for YouTube, the end goal for YouTube used to be recommend whatever maximizes revenue, right? That used to be the goal. That used to be the whole goal. In fact, in the first iteration of YouTube's entire recommendation and notification system, it was just revenue based. So basically they would recommend things that they think you would watch to give them the most revenue, not necessarily what you wanted to watch, right? They weren't surfacing content you wanted to watch. They surfaced, the algorithm essentially chose content that you would at least watch that would make the most money. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, because it's machine learning, like true machine learning, not this crap that Twitch says it does, but real machine learning, they don't know how it works, right? It's a black box. It's you stick a whole bunch of inputs in, and what? Oh, I just got a special weather. Okay, I don't care. You stick a whole bunch of inputs in, and you just get out whatever the machine has chosen as the optimal notification or recommendation scenario. And you don't really know how it works. And so I think that system works really well as long as you have a really well-defined endpoint. And I think that's what Twitch should do, right? Because when I'm following 2,000 people, even if I'm like Devin follows 164 people.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to know every time all of those goes live, right?
No.
He wants, I mean, I think a good way of doing it is a mix of, you recommend to Devin what is going to make Twitch the most money and give Devin the highest enjoyment or engagement or whatever number that is, right? Whatever number they're kind of going for. I think that's the right way to do it. I don't think Twitch is going to do that, but I think that's the right way to do it. So you don't necessarily always get notified of certain people going live, like people that I don't engage with. Let's see here. I open up people that Devin is following, right? Devin, for example, never ever watches, I'm just going to scroll down. Devin never ever watches this person I've never heard of called Ima Cute P, right? He never watches that person. I'm a cutie pie. He never watches them. And so why, even though he's following him, why would Devin want all of his notifications at all times? You know what I mean?
How do you know I never follow him or watch him?
It was a joke, and I was making it up.
I thought you were like actually had data, because I actually don't watch that guy ever.
So perfect example. Okay, so exactly. So you want to follow him because it makes sense for you to follow him, right? You kind of have a CEO in esports. It just makes fucking sense. But you don't need his notifications all the time. Occasionally, if the algorithm detects that he's doing something big, he's got more viewers than normal, there's some, scenario in there where his notification could show up, right? Some sort of, Twitch detects something different that it would engage you and would increase their revenue from you potentially, then it makes sense to show it. But it doesn't make sense to show it all the time. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So why are you so pessimistic about the prospects of Twitch implementing some sort of like machine learning? Does this go back to your like Twitch only goes shallow, not deep on products, and they don't have the talent?
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I think that's just because I know Twitch really well. So they got to do some serious hiring in order for that to happen. I don't think it's impossible. I mean, in fact, Amazon does it.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Amazon does it right now with product recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they do a great job of it, but they do a job of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the pessimism there is 100% purely based on knowing Twitch and has nothing to do with whether or not they're capable of doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It has nothing to do. I think they're probably capable of hiring the right people to do it. But and the parent I think they're capable of doing it, but I am pessimistic in them actually doing it simply based on past product performance, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, they should have like infinite resources, right? I mean, they have like the full force of Amazon, like the entire AWS compute cloud, like they have, you know, presumably like basically infinite money. It's hard to imagine them like, I don't know.
You also have to remember the culture of Amazon, right? Spend the absolute minimum amount of resources possible to accomplish the job. I mean, it's Bezosian, right? It's just who he is. Bootstrap everything. If it's, you know, take minimum viable effort to create some sort of product. And that's just part of the culture. I think it's get the product out there, especially on Twitch. It's been a lot of the culture of, oh, let's get the product out there and then we'll change it later to make it better. And that second step just doesn't happen, doesn't come through. So I think, for me, the pessimism is 100% based on past performance, and it has nothing to do with the quality of Twitch engineers. I'm sure they're all somewhat fantastic, but I think it has everything to do with just how Twitch has been run. You know what I mean? Rather than that. I think it's totally possible, and they should be doing all this. Holy crap, they should absolutely be doing all this. It's just not happening. At least
so like if you were a director at Twitch, this is what you would be working on, or this is what you would be like pushing for internally.
That would be the number one goal. The number one project would be implementing true machine learning into almost everything that happens on Twitch, especially when it comes to recommendations. I mean, the recommendation engine on YouTube is next to flawless, right? Now they change it every once in a while, in that they essentially just rework the data and then they define what their goals are for the next quarter, right? And then they shove it through the black box to maximize those specific goals. At surfacing small channels, if you go to a massive who's big, Casey Neistat. If you go to his YouTube channel, and let's see, he just put out a big video that everybody's talking about, the Logan Paul interview, right? If you go on the right-hand side there, the up next side, first of all, we're all going to have different stuff there, right? It's all going to be based on what we watch, and there's going to be something there that is related to something that we've watched in the past or has something to do. Like for me, if you're looking at that page, 3 videos down is 10 things Americans do that confuse the rest of the world. What? Right? Why is that area related? It's probably because I clicked on crap like that a few days ago, right? And that has nothing to do with the Logan Paul interview. So they do a really good job of surfacing and big channels, small channels, related channels you're subscribed to, channels you're not subscribed to, all in an attempt to keep you on the platform to meet whatever their metrics and their goals are at that point in time.
Yeah, I feel like YouTube does an amazing job of like surfacing a variety of content to its viewers, where Twitch does, and actually I just posted the chart for this, Twitch does a very, very poor job. I think like 50% of viewers, more or give or take, are watching 3 or fewer streamers over the observed time.
Really?
Like, so
sure, that makes sense. That makes sense to me though.
Like, so like whether you,
but I don't know that Twitch wants it different. Like, here's the thing is like, because a YouTube video averages to be 8 to 12 minutes long for the most popular videos. I think the difference here is the Twitch. I think this has as much to do with culture as it has to do with anything else. And I think on Twitch, especially whenever, so for example, okay, how do I describe this? On YouTube, if I am Casey and I see this video and I notice the first up next video is BuzzFeed Blue. The next one is something called Mouthy Buddha. I don't even know what that is. The next one is from GQ, right? The next one is somebody who has 300 views, right? It's like, that's okay because that is the culture of YouTube. The creators on YouTube don't expect people, like after they watch this video, they know that the sidebar is full of other stuff and they're going to go off and do things, right? Whereas on Twitch, you tell any large broadcaster, you tell them, okay, we're going to do something that takes people off your channel, right? It's a fiasco. It's been done before, and
so YouTube faced the same challenge though. Like with the H3H video, when they changed their algorithm and like follows no longer meant that they had complete control over like who was going to receive notifications from their channel. Like they threw a fucking conniption fit.
Sure, for notifications, yes, and I agree that notifications.
Wouldn't you say that it's much more healthy for the platform? Like from Twitch's perspective, Twitch wants you on site. So like if you come to the site and like Mylixia isn't there, they want me to go watch Sevadus or, you know, someone else, right? Like they don't want you to like bounce.
No, I think
there's
a conflict here. I think there's an internal conflict at Twitch here because there's a large number. Okay, there's a small number of people that have a loud voice that are very pro broadcaster, right? And so everything they do is in support of what the broadcaster wants. And then there's also the other side of the coin, which I would say is probably the majority of Twitch that cares about viewers, right? And they want the viewer to have the best experience. And I personally don't think there is a world in which both sides get everything they want, right? That just doesn't, it doesn't make sense to me. However, just the Twitch culture of, you know, their big first line, broadcasters first, I think that being part of their massive culture a lot of the times gets in the way of what you're talking about.
Do you think that leads to the sort of winner-take-all system that we have right now on Twitch, where like if you're not a top, 100 streamer or whatever, like your discoverability is shit, you're like having a very difficult time growing your channel in any measurable way, like,
or you're just doing it wrong.
Definitely. I mean, there's obviously like I understand that like you take a very aggressive approach towards growth and growth hacking and like making sure that like people are discovering your channel through systems outside of Twitch. But should that strictly be necessary?
I mean, like, you can still do it on Twitch, right? With collabs and team building and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. I'm totally new to all of this, or I'm like relatively new. I mean, I've been a viewer for a few years or whatever, but I haven't been nearly as deeply engaged with the community or with like building channels as either of you.
Yeah, no, I think go ahead, Devin.
No, I
was waiting for you.
Whatever I say is not going to have as much value. Go ahead.
You're going to make me cry.
Why?
No, I think that there's a baby outside this room. Oh. I think that there is, I think there are plenty of ways to grow a channel on Twitch. It's a weird one because there are so many So there are so many channels on Twitch. How many people are broadcasting right now? What, 40,000?
Yeah, it's usually something like that, 30 to 50,000, depending on time of day.
Something now. Yeah, so however many channels are being watched now, realistically, how many of those channels are creating the kind of content that Twitch wants to put out to the mass market?
Well, I think the real question is like how many of those are just getting like one or two things wrong, where like if they were willing to make a change.
Oh yeah, most are getting just one or two things wrong. Yeah.
So if they're that close, then like wouldn't it be really cool if there was some way that like they couldn't, fail miserably just because?
But how does that work? So okay, so so you take, let's say there's 40,000 people. You take even 5,000 of those people and you give them the 2 secrets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make them great broadcasters?
I don't know.
Like,
I mean, the question isn't like, does it make them great broadcasters?
The people have to come from somewhere, right? Great numbers, I should say, great concurrence, right? The great viewing hours, great, all those, all the statistics that we show to advertisers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Sev, I've like tried to think a lot about this, especially since you introduced this to me. So like, my mindset has gone from being, okay, it's largely Twitch's responsibility to address discovery issues for smaller broadcasters to like, well, maybe it's almost entirely in the hands of the broadcaster to do it. But one thing that I can't really shake is that the amount of unique views that come into your stream, irregardless, will always create a successful broadcaster at some point, or it should. And
I agree with that.
Yeah. So like, there are in my opinion, in the top 100 streamer list, there are a lot of shit tier broadcasters that really add very little value to to anybody. But the communities have been brought around them that like, I guess, like self-propel it. And like I'd have to use specific examples that I can't.
They are adding value to the people watching, or else they wouldn't watch.
No,
right?
I don't think so. I think there are literally broadcasters that are resident sleeper that get views because they have they've sort of established themselves predominantly in like the 4 to 5 year period before, in 2012 or around there, when like or even before that, where they could do that.
This is actually a really interesting question. This is something that I've been struggling to measure recently. Community versus streamer. It's like not versus in the sense that they're like adversarial or at odds with each other, but like how significant is like your community to your channel growth? Like Sevadus, you talk about modding people in your chat who you would like to have 1,000 of. Like these are the people who are like exemplars of the type of person that you would want to be in your chat or whatever. They're the people who are like welcoming, they're like doing all the memes right, they're like giving you shit in the way that you want. Like they're keeping chat going, keeping it active, and making it like an inclusive and exciting place for new people to come in. Like on very large streams, and there's something else that you guys talked about, which was like the cap that you reach. Like I have this theory that like there may be community insularity that leads to excluding new viewers beyond a certain point, where like a channel gets like so far out there or so like detached from the rest of like Twitch norms or whatever that it becomes impossible or very difficult anyway to integrate as a new user with that. Again, like maybe you have like metrics, and I would be really, really interested in hearing about how you like measure chat or measure like chat behavior or like toxicity or whatever, if that's something that you've like looked into in the past.
Yeah, I think there's something to that, but I also think, and I do think, so for what you're talking about with the whole modding thing and creating a strong community and all that, there is a tipping point, right, where that has negligible effect. Right. For smaller broadcasters, for people, that have essentially what we call a slow moving chat, right? That's really important. It's really important to have that community. It's really important to have that engagement there. The faster the chat moves, essentially the speed or so that the community communicates together, the less important it is to have, those modded figures and whatnot. It just doesn't, it's just not as important because you have that strong core of just pure community that's constantly talking.
So you really think it's just about like rate? It's not like there isn't some like
a lot of it has to do with rate. I think the quality of the content matters less than the rate of the engagement.
Wait, what does that mean?
The engagement,
the
quality of the engagement matters less than the rate of the engagement. It's true. It's why, for example, R9K doesn't work, right? It works for moderating. R9K is a fantastic tool and I love it, right? If you're not familiar with R9K, it's basically an algorithm to, in a large community, with a large population, R9K is an algorithm to better separate signal from noise. Because the larger the community gets, the larger the population gets, the higher the noise gets relative to the signal. And I think that hurts, for example, a smaller channel, because even if somebody's repeating something 5 minutes later, it's still valuable, right? That thing is incredibly valuable to that channel that might only get one sentence typed out every minute, right? It's still valuable. Whereas in a much larger channel, it doesn't, the first time it's posted, it's way less valuable. It's just the rate that matters at that point. And I think what we're finding is, I think it comes down to what people want, right? A lot of people simply gravitate towards smaller broadcasters because they feel like the broadcaster is actually going to read what they say. Because let's face it, Lyric doesn't read everything that goes through his chat, right? It's every once in a while you pop over and you take a gander, you take a look. But I feel like it's kind of you almost have two different types of communities based on growth. Right?
Well, yeah, when you have a community, like when you have 40,000 people watching you obviously can't keep up with chat.
And they don't expect you to. That's the thing, is the community doesn't expect you to. And it's also why oftentimes, like, I mean, I experienced this, and anybody who gets large, or at least over 1,000 CCUs, probably ish, somewhere in there, experience this where it's like, hey, Matt, you've changed. And it's like, you're not reading my messages. You've changed. Well, it's like, bitch, you know, what do you want me to do? Right? I can't read. I can't read everything you type at this point, right? So
do you think that, like,
almost,
the streamers?
sorry?
Do you think that the streamer's bandwidth for engagement sort of ends up limiting that in some ways, where like people still want to have that community feel, but like at some rate, like the streamer just can't read that fast?
Of course. I mean, I always read. I literally stop the game to read chat. But when I do that, right, when I make sure that I read every line, those people who are there to literally watch me play a video game are screwed. So they leave, right? You almost have two different sides of the coin pulling at each other at all times. You know
okay,
what I mean?
I have like a huge, what feels like a hugely separate issue, but like to me, it all comes down to how many unique viewers are you getting in your stream per day? Because this is the option for a new person to follow you, or a current person to view you, or right, and like it seems like none of what we're talking about is like actionable towards that goal. Right, like so the purpose, Slugalisk, like the whole purpose of your data collection, and Sevadus, you should, I guess this should be the same for both of you, which is kind of like why I tried to link you guys together, is to establish protocols and best practices for broadcasters to grow their channels, right? But it seems like none of the conclusions you guys have actually do that.
It's weird though, because like I was saying, that requires, I think that requires a culture shift at Twitch, right? It requires a culture shift. It requires Twitch to care more about what the viewer is watching than what the broadcaster is doing. Right now, Twitch is still very broadcaster centric, and rightfully so, right? Twitch would not have had the growth that it had it not been for the whole broadcaster's first motto. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way. But when it comes down to it, how many per day? It's something like, what, 25 million hours, right? There's 25 million hours of Twitch watched on a typical day. That 25 million hours it's distributed across a whole bunch of channels. And it's almost like there's your finite pool. Twitch, and then you ask Twitch, how do you distribute that? Right? How do you distribute that? And right now, with the broadcaster first kind of mentality, I think Twitch, I think what Twitch doesn't want to do, and I'm not speaking for Twitch, I don't know what they want, but it feels to me like Twitch would feel like it's pissing off broadcasters to take some of those hours and push them to smaller channels, if that makes sense.
What I'm saying is, aside from that, I have I have a long history helping people grow broadcasts, as well as like running large streaming networks at one time, like the second largest network on Twitch, right? And I still don't know, or at least don't know data backed, but I don't think I know in general how to grow a channel. And so it seems to me that sort of circles back around to the education issue. But yeah, like that knowledge is like that knowledge is unavailable to me, right? Even someone like me, much less someone like if you told me right now, like, how do I get, like, if you said you have to work 15 hours a day and in 6 months your channel will have 500 concurrent viewers, I would do everything possible to do that. But I have no idea how.
And I think this is something that like we'll develop an understanding for as we collect more data. I think like the stuff that I was talking to you about before was like the streamers who like where you had like co-occurrent viewers with other streamers or something, so you could look into like optimizing collaborations. And I don't know like how viable that will be long term once they collect more data and really understand like how people are arriving at your channel or whatever. But I think like from the discussions that you guys have had previously, it sounds like if you want to bring people into your channel, it needs to come from outside. So you're looking at like AdWords, Facebook ads, like Gamer Forum, Wikis, Reddit. What are the other things that you guys listed? Twitter, Instagram, hosting collaborations, event advertisement, game launches, and word of mouth. Actually, like,
that's the only way to do it yourself, right? Because yeah, so
Very
that's the only way
few
to
of
do
the
it
things on that
yourself.
list are actually working.
Yeah, those are the only ways to do it yourself,
you-
simply because there are X number of hours on platform already allocated. Think of it that way.
No,
how are you measuring engagement or engagement from those sources? Like, are you running them through like short links or something where you can get analytics for conversions from all of those platforms?
No, I'm literally just asking my chat periodically who's found me from Instagram or YouTube, and it's like next to 0 people.
Okay, so that's going to be like incredibly biased. If you're starting from the perspective that like you don't have any engagement or whatever, and you're like polling chat randomly, first, like those people coming from Instagram might not have accounts yet. They might not even be able to chat in your chat, so they might not be able to tell you. Like, if you're using some sort of like some system or something to capture those conversions or whatever, where you can have like hard numbers, I think it would be more easy to, I guess, like weed out the ones that aren't necessarily working for you.
That's fair. Yeah. So you're saying I should create like Bitly links for like.
I mean, ideally they would be branded, so you would have like Mylixia.tv/Twitch or something like that, and then rather than putting Twitch.tv/Mylixia on your Twitter or something like that, you would put your link, and then you could capture whatever information you wanted there. Or like you could even take it a step further and use that as like an answering service, where like if you arrive there, it's like, hey, my stream's not online, but hey, check out these like top clips from the past week, or these videos that are really cool. Or
if only I could hire someone to actually do that. That sounds really good. Since
it's not hard. The thing is,
you almost certainly have someone in your community who could do this for you.
The thing is, I think if you have a business account on Instagram already, you can see click-throughs. The problem is
you can.
I think the problem is that there's no give on the Twitch side, right? Twitch is really bad at data.
Yeah.
Or they're really bad at displaying data. And so when it comes down to it, there's no way for me to track someone clicked through my Instagram link. What is the retention on that user?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's really what you want. That's the number that's really, really important. And there's really no way to do that. There's no way, the essentially the tool is just not provided like you would want it to be.
Do you think there would ever be a point where like Twitch would provide those internally for like individual users in their pages, or like provide raw feeds of that?
They want to.
Yeah, they're trying.
I think they want to, but it's a slow road, especially
like, can I just run like Spark jobs inside of like Twitch's data center? Like,
yeah, I mean, you would think, but like I don't know. They have their own. I mean, Twitch really is, and it was made on duct tape, right? It's all just kind of loose code running together, and then headaches. And so I think they're just struggling with a lot of the. I mean, everything that you hear about internally at Twitch is like some sort of rewrite. It's just like constantly rewrite. And so, and I think that's just to do with performance and everything else, right? You got a whole bunch of engineers that just have to maintain the thing. And then you have to find some other engineers with some free time that are willing to work on
2 seconds.
All these statistics. And like, for example, I think everybody realizes that YouTube is the gold standard when it comes to creator statistics. I mean, they're so good. It's insane, right? It's absolutely ridiculous how much information is on a YouTube statistic page. And yes, of course, I would love to get that from Twitch, but as of right now, that doesn't look like it's something that, is going to be there. It's not, it just, for me, I don't think it's happening anytime soon. I think it will happen. I just don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
And then the flip side of that is like, it's very difficult to get raw information from YouTube because their APIs are all incredibly rate limited. And so like your only view into the behavior of your users on YouTube is through the curated analytics.
Through their lens. Yeah. And I mean, that's how they want it to be, right? They wanted you to see it the way that they want you to see it. And so, yeah, I think there's give and take. The problem is that the raw data that Twitch does give you it's so little of it that it's just you can't get anywhere near the stuff you can get on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. Have you considered like paying Twitch users? Because there is information that you can get from the analytics panels on Twitch that you can't get like publicly. Like, if you consider like paying like 100 Twitch streamers or whatever to like siphon that data off of them, just to get like a more complete view.
Yeah, it's really difficult. First of all, Twitch makes it really difficult just to do that, right? Just to get that data is very, very challenging. We do it internally. Like everybody that's on the Nerd Fusion team, I can see some of their statistics through the team panel.
Right. Yeah.
But that's about it. There's plenty of statistics that I still have to this day message, hey Waffle, link me that, or take a screenshot of this, right? And it's like, for example, location. So they added this whole location thing. Where do your viewers come from?
Yeah.
And even now they've added things. They have added like click-throughs. So like what web pages, were what is it called? The referral page, right? What web pages were the referral page? So like for me, for example, Gamepedia, the Minecraft Gamepedias are really high on that list.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So I assume you can get all that through the gRPC API. So like if you just had access to his account, or if you had like an authentic token or whatever that you could pull that information from, you should be able to like scrape it more frequently than like getting a screenshot or something. It would be much more.
If you have to log in as them.
Yeah, definitely. So if you could get like an OAuth session from Giant Waffle, and I assume that like he's on your, I don't know if like he would trust you guys. I assume that like because he's your employee or whatever.
Right, and that's fine. But the point is like you have to. There's no clean way to do it.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I was saying. Like it would be really cool if like you could buy this from people, or if you had like a clearinghouse, or a bunch of people agreed to like subscribe to this clearinghouse, and then you sold the data in bulk.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, you can do that. I would think that most broadcasters are not down to give you access to their account like that, because I mean, you really have access fully to their account.
To everything, yeah.
Like screw two-factor, it's all just gone, right? Somebody else has your full-on account.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh God.
So you guys have to have some information about like which of these channels that we were talking about actually like function. How did you guys go about like I guess weighting those or like measuring their effectiveness?
What effectiveness? Sorry, I wasn't.
The effectiveness. So the top of the funnel, like the off-platform things. Like how did you measure that?
Yeah. So for us, that was it's one of these things. It's just like when you're doing. It's kind of like when you're doing an advertisement for a brand, right? When you're doing one of these awareness campaigns. With an awareness campaign, which is basically what it is, right? It's not really a conversion campaign because you can't quantify the conversion. It's an awareness campaign. And so you essentially have to use some funky math, and you're just looking for peaks essentially in your click-throughs and stuff like that. So you see the click-through, and then you have to use all the information you have to decide if those click-throughs had any significant impact on the stream that those click-throughs occurred during. So you have to have a whole bunch of control casts. You have a whole bunch of control casts. You have a whole bunch of casts where their click-throughs were happening, and then you look and see if there is any noticeable difference. And some are yes and some are no, right? It just totally depends. And what we've found, for example, Facebook works as long as you're super, super specific with it. You have to be really, really specific with what you're doing, with who you're targeting. Yeah, I think you mentioned
like hyping specific events or something worked best with Facebook, and it was like you wanted to make sure that it was like
daily awareness doesn't really work too well in what we found at least. But for things like, Waffle's doing a 24-hour stream, right? Then what you do is you go down and say, okay, look at Waffle's audience on Twitch. What is Waffle's audience on Twitch? Now, we get a lot of our data for audience and demographics. Like Twitch just does not surface demographics, right? What's on the dashboard these days as far as demographics are concerned? It's pretty weak.
Location
and yeah, I don't even think they do ages. Do they do age? No. I'm pretty sure they don't do age. Yeah, they don't do age. They don't do income level. They don't do any of that, stuff that I would consider to be standard analytics, right? Or demographics, not analytics. So what we do is every single time we link anything on Twitch, anything at all, it always goes through n3f.tv, which throws it into Google Analytics.
That's funny.
So there is a selection bias there, right? Because what you're doing is you're selecting, okay, the people that click links here's the demographic of them. You know what I mean? So like it's technically not the full sample. It's a subsample of that full sample, but we assume that the sample is representative of the full sample because that's just the only assumption we can make. Right. At that point, that is our big leap. Once we make that leap, then we have all this data, right? We know the sort of median age range. We always use median. I mean, mean is stupid. Nobody should use averages for anything. Okay, there's a few cases where averages are useful, but medians are way more useful in statistical sets that we're dealing with here that have long tails, especially on one side. So yeah, if you target that, because Facebook and Google ads, right, you can get super specific. So what you do is you get the absolute core audience of Giant Waffle. Like, here is his absolute audience, right? It's between this age and this age. It's this income level to that income level. It's this location to that location. It's Minecraft, basically. And you find the exact kind of person, what is the perfect person to watch the channel, and then you super target those people for that event, and it does well. It's whenever you go too broad and you're like, anybody who plays video games, right? Well, that's useless. We've tried it and it's absolutely useless, right? Because moms like are playing video game, or they consider themselves video gamers because they're playing Candy Crush, right? And like so you're advertising to people that don't give
yeah, exactly. And the whole strength
pickles.
of Facebook ads is that they can target on demographics like that, where like it's much more difficult on other
platforms.
And
that's where they work, right? That's where we find that they work. And the problem with doing it over, just a general show, right? It's just my standard daily show, et cetera, is you just don't have the second component, which is the actual ad itself, right? Because the text, the image, whatever you're putting in that advertisement has to be compelling enough to have people leave a platform, right? You have to create something that says, okay, all this thing that you're doing right now, this thing that you're literally, most of you are addicted to checking, leave it and go somewhere completely different in a social situation that you are probably never been in before. You know what I mean? Like all that sort of stuff. And that's the real challenge is, okay, now we've targeted the right person. Okay, let's get these people to move, right? Let's get these people to actually click. And so that is why we find that event-based works best, because it makes good taglines, good headlines, all those sorts of things. Now you could totally go clickbaity and just say every day is a big event, right? But then at that point you get consumer fatigue, right? Because then they see the same ad over and over every day. It's the same. It's like, screw this guy, right? I will now close that ad. Never show me again. You know what I mean?
To me,
and then you've lost your opportunity.
There's no way to drive unique views then outside of having events on your channel, like through paid advertising, which is kind of a really unfortunate.
I don't think that's true at all. I don't think that's true at all.
Isn't that the conclusion one would reach by what you just said?
No, I think that is a way. That is certainly a way. It is not the only way, right? If you want more unique views, you're doing it right now.
What do you mean?
You're talking to me. I'm a broadcaster. I have an audience, right? You're literally doing one of the big things you can do on Twitch to gain a unique audience, right? The number of people that have come over from my channel to your channel and have followed your channel and have continued to watch your channel. Think about that, right?
I don't know how many it actually is. Like, so, and the other thing would be like, okay, but if I could pay $50, or that's a lot of money. Like, if I could pay like $10 to guarantee that this talk was going to get 5,000 or 10,000 unique views, I would definitely do that. Is what I'm saying, right?
I mean, that is a calculation that you have to make as far as what to you is a viewer worth.
Yeah, but you're saying there's no way to do that with a like it wouldn't.
There is kind of. So what we were just talking about was like tailoring advertisements.
I'm on platform. I'm on platform. You can pay me. I'll put your damn logo up. Let's go.
All right. I'm down.
I mean, what it sounded like was that like you can get really high conversions so long as you ensure.
Will you cut
targeting
out?
to the demographic that's already watching you. So like you can establish like who is watching your channel by looking at outbound links, by tracking those people through Google Analytics, and then you can take the information that you've collected there and use that to feed back into your advertising campaigns to target like Facebook ads, for example. And then so long as you're doing something that's like really
That's
engaging
exactly what we
on
do.
your stream. Yeah, no, that's really ingenious.
That's what we do. And we also, you can go a step further from that. And now if you just stick to Twitch, and this is something that you might be well suited for here at Slug, is like, okay, Mylixia, here is a list of the top 30 broadcasters who you have the largest crossover audience with. That's a really important thing to see, right? That's very valuable and important. And we do it all the time here at Nerd Fusion internally.
Yeah.
We do it with subs as well. But I mean, publicly, you find where your largest crossover is. And those are the people you want to interact with, right? There's something about the two of you, like the streamers that you are very similar to with people that view. There's something about the two of you, right? That if you were to come together, there is a potential for sort of communal growth between the two.
Well, Twitch
even just having
tells
each
you
other
that.
on each other's show for one day or something like that.
What Twitch tells you a lot of that information. It says there's a channels with what viewers have in common, right?
I think isn't it like views from, they have like a views from channels thing?
So it's
Something like
which
that?
channels have viewers in common with mine, and it'll show you the top 5. Yeah.
That's a weird one, I think. Like you and another channel had a percent of viewers in common over the last 30 days.
Well, like for mine, the number one is
Who is it?
Harkdan, right? But that's just because
Okay.
we've talked so much that it makes perfect sense. Does that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And my
Yeah.
number one is Sevadus AFK,
Right.
which
That
is just my second channel.
Makes perfect sense.
But here's
too,
the thing. Here's the thing. The Sevadus AFK is 42%. What does that mean? Like the problem with this is it doesn't tell you what that means.
It means
doesn't-
42%. Oh, wait.
What does that mean? Because I can guarantee you 42% of my audience is not watching Sevadus AFK. I can damn well guarantee you of
You don't
that.
think so?
Hell no. Absolutely not. No way. Not even close. So what does the number mean, right? Sure, the rankings might mean something, maybe.
I see what you're saying.
But what does it mean? Like what you really need a breakdown on this, right? You really need a breakdown. You need to say, okay, when I'm playing this game, what channels am I closest to? And let's get together and play that game together.
This was something that we were doing some like preliminary diving into, but I didn't have enough data the first time. I don't think that I have enough data now, but like if you could know that, what information about those interactions would you want to, like, what dimensions would you want that information broken down by?
I mean, for me, I think it does come down to when you're doing a specific type of content, whatever that type of content is.
How do you extract the type of content though? I mean, you can look at like the game or the directories, but they may be mistagged. They may be using that for like SEO purposes as opposed to using it.
Oh,
to,
sure.
like,
And I will mistag myself on purpose. That's great.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Absolutely.
And yeah, oh, no, I'll absolutely mistag myself. And so it's, you know, but at that point, it's a choice that I made, right? I know the data is going to be messed with and it's going to be fucking wrong because I made that choice, you know?
I feel like you can do something like singular value decomposition or whatever, where you look at like viewers and something and they come up with some recommendation, but I feel like the matrix is so sparse that it might not actually work because like,
okay, so for low pop, that'll never, I feel like that would never work for low pop streams, right? Because you just have every individual, there's just not enough data.
Yeah, exactly.
Point, right? You could do that calculation between like Shroud and Summit, you know, that would probably be okay. But you know, like, what are we looking at? Devin has 80 viewers. First of all, you don't know all those 80 viewers, right? You know a percentage.
Yeah, I only know the login viewers.
A small number of them, which is
I think it's about 70%.
okay. And then yeah, as you break those down into deeper and deeper breakouts, that number just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Right.
And so I think it just becomes closer to it's not like it basically it's difficult to convince yourself there's some sort of statistical significance to what you're doing at that point, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. If I was a streamer, I would pay to play with bigger streamers. Yeah, that would never happen.
Yeah, they just won't do that.
No,
Collab
that's
is a really weird thing. I think the idea I've had for it recently is like if I'm playing Warframe, you host another Warframe streamer that's like of similar viewership and kind of hang out in their chat. Like that seems to me to be the only realistic way to actually like
I agree with that.
Sorry?
I agree with that.
Yeah, okay. Because like one thing I'm struggling with right now is like, and that was a question I was probably going to ask you offline, Sev, but I guess we could do it here, was like, it seems to me pretty obviously that the absolute best way to grow a channel is to collab with other broadcasters. And like your suggestions around that, because like I know a lot of people, but not a lot of people that are relevant to like what
that
I
assumes do. Okay. So here, so that has to run on so many assumptions, right? That assumes that you're doing everything else best practice, right? Because the best way to grow your channel is to be consistent. That's the best way to grow your channel.
It assumes, I think it just assumes that the best and most effective way is collab. And I would actually argue that collaboration is probably more important than scheduling and consistency. And the way that I would back that up is to
know if that's true.
So I can maybe provide you some examples and we can see.
Sure.
But let's use someone like Greek God, right? Where like his channel was exclusively built through collab and he's inconsistent as fuck. And like he doesn't like there's a lot of streamers like that that are pretty well known and have accomplished it through that.
I wouldn't say there's a large number.
Okay.
I would not say that is a thing that most people do, simply because if you think about him, for example, he was able to latch onto somebody who had 20,000 views, right?
Several people. Yeah.
And that's literally what you just typed out. It'd be really hard to find people to do that. Like you're not, yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about by saying collaboration.
But okay, if it is possible for you to score a collab with a channel much larger than yours, then of course that's the best way, right?
Yeah. Okay.
The number of people that are gonna and can do that, I think is pretty low. Now you're in a specific different situation, right? You know people. Like I think a large number of large broadcasters would be totally cool with having you on their stream. No problem. But talking about just like the standard broadcaster who doesn't have those connections, like who doesn't know people like me and others, I think it would be incredibly challenging to even approach somebody with 1,000 more CCUs than what you have.
Oh yeah.
To be like, hey, want to play a game together? Right?
Yeah. So like, what the hell do you do? Like, yeah, that's the what is this that you sent me, Slug?
So we were talking about before the broadcast, like which channel or which game would you need to be playing in order to get the most, like to appear the highest in rank or to get the most viewership or whatever. And so this was like the 5 minutes before the channel, what I was working on.
5 minutes. Wait, so you literally solved this problem in 5? This is by game the most likely you are to be discovered. Is that what you're saying? No.
So this is like, you can imagine like there are six channels per row or something. So you probably want to be in like, less than stream estimated rank 6 or something. So I looked at like the number of viewers that you had like 83 viewers at the time or something.
Sure.
And so like if you have 83 viewers and you dropped into any one of these games, assuming that you didn't lose a whole bunch of your channel or whatever, what position would you be in? And then you can, weight that, I guess, a little bit based on how many total viewers are available in that game. How many broadcasters are you competing with overall, like to get a sense of like, but anyway, this is just very rough. This is like a first pass at this.
Yeah, we actually do this. We actually straight up do this.
I'm very curious, like, how do you feel about collaborations with Strata or whatever?
You cut out,
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. How do you feel about collaborations within your Strata?
What's Strata?
So like if you're looking at like if you're a 100 viewer streamer or whatever, looking at like 50 to 300 viewer streamers or whatever, and like collaborating with them, and then like as you gradually like move up, engaging streamers that are bigger and bigger.
I can answer this, and then Sev can answer it probably, but there's a couple of studies that have been done, or a couple of stats that are out there that say that if you are hosting or rating broadcasters with 25 to 50% larger CCUs than you, you stand to gain a pretty significant amount of followers from that. And then if you're hosting broadcasters that are smaller, and you use the number, I think you use like 50 to 300 is like a massive range. So like for me, right, where I average like 80 to 150, I should be hitting 200 to 250 broadcaster streams, right? And then in theory, that gets me a lot more discovery than like if I rated, let's say, a 30-person stream. Sev can confirm or deny.
Yeah, that's totally true. That's true. Yeah.
I wish I could have found it. Someone in chat linked it to me, but there was a website that showed these metrics. Do you guys remember this at all? There was a website that showed it was like a hosting website that had statistics on like, okay, like they took a bunch of streamers and they showed how many of them, what happened when they hosted channels larger than them, what happened when they hosted channels smaller than them. Shoot, I don't know how to find it. The SEO on it was really bad. I swear I could have favorited it somewhere.
I'll be able to generate this eventually, but I don't have enough data right now to generate any.
That would be
significant.
really interesting to me for you to find. But I'm pretty sure that we already know that. Maybe it's.
It's interesting at the very least that like people are interested in that number.
Let me see.
Part of this is like just exploratory. Like, I'm curious what people are actually looking at.
That comes with an asterisk, though. That absolutely comes with the hosting comes with an asterisk, right? If you go and then like you're at 100 viewers and you go host Shroud, that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, so that's what he's saying. That's why he
thing.
said 50%, 25 to 50% larger, because those people won't even like those larger ones won't even acknowledge you.
They don't acknowledge. You have to. The thing is, you have to be hosting somebody that will acknowledge the host, right? That's the key. That's the whole point. Because there's no way for a viewer to know somebody hosted your channel, right? It doesn't show up. It's not public knowledge that somebody hosts your channel, except unless you go to that channel, and like at that point you already know about them, right? But when somebody hosts or raids your channel, and that's why the shitty way of you're a shitty person, yes, but doesn't mean I don't do it. The absolute best way is to raid or host a channel and then immediately unhost, right? Because then you essentially throw people over there, you get the big reaction, and then you cancel the triage from your own channel. It's a dick move. I don't know how else to describe that. But that's
something that you can get away with doing like over and over again?
I do.
That's what I'm asking. Like
I do get away with it.
Holy, I found it. Okay, so here it is. So they took 4 groups. Group 1, no change to hosting. Group 2, only hosting with 50% less viewers. Group 3, only hosting with a similar number of viewers. And then Group 4, only hosting with 50% more viewers. And then they did some rules and stuff. And they came out with some really interesting stuff. So if you host a smaller broadcast, and then they looked at it like over the course of some time, average viewers decreased by 25%, new followers decreased by 44%, average chatters reduced by 13%. If you host a similar sized, you still got an average viewer decrease, a new follower decrease, and a very slight average chatters increase. But if you hosted a larger one, you still got an average decrease, but your new followers increased by 100%, and your average chatters increased by 30%.
Very cool.
And the other thing,
what was this collected from?
several different or 30 volunteer streamers to gather data on how the size of hosting impacts returning on a channel. Actually, what disturbs me about this the most is that average viewers didn't increase for any of these. That's actually kind of scary.
I mean, that's true. Hosting is not a growth strategy for your channel as far as CCUs. I think everyone knows that.
No, everyone doesn't know that. I didn't know that until you just fucking said it.
I mean, that's why you quickly unhost. Like, it's one of these things.
Oh, I see.
That's why I'm telling you the dick move, right?
Yeah.
If you want it to work, host, unhost, done. You know?
Yeah.
That's the dick move. But you're a dick. You know, that's the downside. The downside of doing it that way is sort of at that point you're dealing with the possible social ramifications of doing that, right? Where you host some person who doesn't know you, right? If I do it, which I only do it to friends, right? I just do it to friends. But like if it's somebody that doesn't know you and they start making shit and calling you out and all that other stuff, depending on how you play that drama, it could be bad for your channel.
Is this a situation where like all news is good news, or what's the?
I think
I talk about that a lot.
If you play it right, it is.
Yeah. So, well, what sucks about this is like I was originally looking at this as a method to grow my channel, but now I don't think it will.
I think it'll grow your channel if you host and unhost.
Yeah. If I'm a dick about it, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can host them for all of like a minute. Like if you go over a minute, then people actually start to care about their content, and so you don't want to do that, right? Oh God, the dark side. You just want.
This is an incredibly competitive market. Like
you want to smash that host, and then you want to as quickly as possible. You want to unhost.
Oh baby.
I wonder how
just because you want that notification to show up. And what's even better is if you target channels that show hosts on screen, right? Those channels are prime. They're prime targets because then they don't even have to say anything, and people know how to spell your name. Yeah, but if don't have host alerts up, by the way, if you're a broadcaster.
You need many votes on live streams fails to succeed. Look at XQC. Yep. But I try as I might have been failing at that too. I did a Reddit contest for clips where like the most popular clips would win. It's like win a prize, but it hasn't gotten me anywhere.
Do they know how you feel about microwaves?
Okay. All right. So can we move on with the actual discussion, my dude? Is that cool with you? That has nothing to do with it.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I hit interrupt.
Look, my beliefs notwithstanding, okay?
No, I'm sorry. That was inappropriate. So this is really cool. Do you see a lot of reciprocal hosting when you engage in this type of behavior, or do you find that like people are like?
Oh, of course. The best part is when they host you back and you didn't do anything for them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you throw them the host. I mean, oh God, this is so dicky. You throw them a host like 3 or 4 days in a row. They know who you are at that point. Then they throw the host and they don't realize you're on hosting. And well, there you go.
So these are the strats for getting out of like the
ELO hell. I'm not advocating it because you're a dick if you do it.
Getting out of ELO hell, dude. Oh God, everything goes all the way back to my League of Legends career.
But I think, and this is the hard thing to talk about, because when we talk about a lot of people, when they talk about streamers and broadcaster statistics and channel growth and stuff like that, it's in the framework. It's in the mindset and the framework of every channel should grow. Right. And I think that's the wrong framework, realistically.
Well, you think some broadcasters are bad and don't deserve to succeed? It just sounds really mean to say that, but like, I understand. Like,
no, the vast majority of people that broadcast on Twitch are and should not be lifelong. Like, it should not be their job to broadcast on Twitch. That's like telling everybody that plays basketball should be in the NBA. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So really, you're doing them a favor by borrowing their users, and it's not actually.
Except they're larger than you, so.
Yeah, my green screen does that against white backgrounds, and I don't know how to fix that right now, so I'm dealing with that. Sorry. It's actually really annoying. I might even do a green screen for my next thing, or actually I just will make it better.
But that is the thing. And that's why even looking at things like this True Research thing where they did the whole hosting thing, it's difficult because the channels aren't all the same. And when it comes down to it, most channels on Twitch are not mass market channels. That's just the damn truth. So that's kind of where all these statistics break down for me.
I think
You know what
this
I mean?
this particular study would be a lot more interesting if their sample size was a lot larger. And so I think that'll be something that, like, if we revisit some of these numbers, it'll be interesting to see if,
Yeah, but
like, if
it's
the
also
results play.
super subjective, right? It's like, how do you break people? How do you find the right categories to put people in to do this testing where they all have equal, they're all equally, they all should be equally as successful as each other. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So getting rid of
Like,
confounding factors.
because there's that one variable that is actually a lot of variables. If you combine them all into one, though, it is how entertaining are they really? Right? Because that's really what Twitch is, right? It's a platform for viewers to be entertained. What is the entertainment factor of the channel? And a lot of people say, well, the entertainment factor is just, I mean, there's CCUs, right? There you go. That's how entertaining they are, which I don't think that's true. But I also think it's true that people that are more entertaining, if two people did the exact same thing, they went live at the exact same time each day, they played the exact same game, et cetera, the more entertaining person would rise faster. I think.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And realistically, most people on Twitch aren't that entertaining, right? They're not entertaining. They're not more entertaining than other content that can already be found on Twitch.
It's interesting how Mooten gives up competing against Asmongold, even though Mooten's not even mainly a WoW streamer. Stay Safe just broadcasts at the same time and competes. Yeah, I mean, Sevadus, this is the thing I would say disagree, but really I don't understand. Like, the only reason right now I won't switch to an earlier time slot, even though it's like probably more advantageous for me in my life, is like I'm terrified of Co-Carnage. But like,
well, that's ridiculous.
No, it isn't. He's exactly my demographic. And he plays exactly the same games that I play, down to like EverQuest 1.
You don't play games.
Yes, I do, my dude. I play games quite a bit.
You play some games.
I can't
but
always
you're so much
have
more
guests
than
on. I can't always like get lucky enough to bring on some really intelligent memers.
You're not playing the exact games he's playing.
I am. I almost always. We have exactly the same taste in games. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but you're not always playing them.
Yeah.
And you're like a completely different personality.
Really? I think we're quite similar.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think that's true.
Huh. This is a Premier Worm stream? Oh, God.
Yeah, you play Worms?
I do play a lot of Worms.
He plays like the next level Worms. What's the...
Whatever it is.
You should be way more terrified of the Destiny time slot considering the overlap. Well, that's the big thing, right? Is I think if I wanted to maximize viewership, the thing about Steven is that he doesn't stream mornings ever. So if I did right now, my crossover with Destiny is like 60 or 70% of my audience. So like if I streamed, like, let's say started at like 9 or 10 in the morning and went till, 7 hours after that, yeah, we'd kill it. That's a big consideration, but that's right in Co-Carnage territory, man. The monster.
But that just doesn't make any sense to me, right? Because there are always other people playing the games he plays that are successful. Look at Dan, actually. That's a great example. Look at Dan's gaming. They play every time there's a release. They're both playing the same game.
Oh, God. So this is going to sound really
I think you can consider both of them incredibly successful.
Yes, this is going to sound really self-depreciating, but it's like, why would somebody watch me over Co for any reason? I like the production quality is much higher. The chat engagement is nearly the same. Like it's the same type of theme. Yeah. So like.
Yeah, but I think we've established that like users aren't like what's the word? They don't move between streams so much. You have like a core audience that will come back and watch you regardless. Like they're much stickier than you imagine, and I think that like you're still going to be engaging people. If that time slot is actually better, you're going to probably, and I would need, I don't know, I need to collect a lot more data. They keep saying that.
It's irrational to worry about overlap with someone like Co. I think you should fear people of two. No. Those people don't matter. I mean, I'm almost.
Okay, so we've done this test. This is something I don't talk about much. We've done this test.
What test?
Where you play the game that the most popular person on Twitch is playing.
Okay.
And as long as, and this kind of goes back to what Slug was showing off earlier, because we use that data as well. The sort of where would you be in the stream rank, right? If you were to go to the game page for all the different games, where would you be with your viewership number? And as long as you're playing, if you're playing the same game as somebody who is massive, and you're not super far down the stream rank list, they're doing you a favor.
Really? Because it ups discovery on Twitch?
It ups your discovery, because think about the churn that a channel like Co goes through, right? That churn is insane. We've talked about that, right? Just the sheer number of people that jump in and jump out. Where are they jumping to? Many of them are clicking that Warframe button.
Wait,
right?
Really?
Of course. They want to see other people playing it, right? They jump to him, then they go see who else is playing it, right? It just increases your churn.
Wait, you're saying that me streaming on Co's times could actually help me if we're playing the same game? Because like what I worried about was
absolutely.
Like his so for example, like we have like very esoteric tastes where like both of our favorite games are EverQuest 1. The funny thing is I know Co, and I've talked to him about this, and I've told him this fear. and like the thing is like that's actually some big brain shit. That makes a lot of sense.
Hold on 1 second. I got a beer back. Hold on.
Whoa.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's like, it's actually crazy to imagine, because the whole reason I'm not on a morning time slot. Setstick, I do well if I'm playing a game versus if I'm talking to people also. I do well either way. I think it's harder for me to entertain people while I'm gaming, but I'm getting better at it. I actually I'm fucking crazy about building this thing, and like as a thing to Slugalisk, or a compliment, the fact that like you're collecting these numbers, I think over the long term will really help me out, and I really appreciate that. Like to the point where like I have like a comedy improv coach that I'm working with to try to get better at entertaining people. Like that's how dedicated I am to this. Like when I want to succeed at something, I will put everything into it. Like for whatever reason, like me playing Wormax and like talking to you guys does just as well. I have no idea why. Yeah, no, I'm hardcore. Like I really want to do this.
Sorry.
So like when I say something like, I'll go all out to do that, and like I'll hire someone to do it, and like also I'm putting 100% of my investment back into the broadcast, right, and like hiring people and trying to do it. I believe that dedication to success will be above most other broadcasters, so that the only thing will actually limit me is if like I'm actually boring as fuck, and that's not like a controllable variable, and that sucks. But I don't think that's the case.
That is controllable. First of all,
well, I was just telling them
people can become mass market entertainers.
I was just telling them how I'm hiring like I have hired like an improv comedy coach to like work with me.
Okay,
stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, people, and if you think of it that way, see, most people wouldn't do that. In fact, very few people would do that, right?
Yeah.
Because but realistically, it's just career development. That's what it is.
That's right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what it is. And so, yeah. And yeah, going back to it, I think it's obviously there's a lot of variables involved, but very, very generally speaking, being high enough in the same category as somebody who's very large, who has a ton of churn, is good. It's good for your channel.
Man, that's extremely interesting.
Yeah.
You don't think that Co himself has way higher engagement than someone say, or sorry, way less churn than someone say like Soda?
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
The curve is like effectively the same for everyone. They just have like, actually the fuck.
When you're front page, when you're in the first 6 slots, you're getting clicked on basically the same amount.
That's super interesting. In the first 6 slots?
Well, if you're looking at a 1080p monitor, which most people do, well, that's not entirely true, actually. Most people actually look at Twitch on mobile nowadays, but
that's interesting.
It is. But if you just look at the top, we use top 5 slots, but whatever metric you want to use, the key is that being up at the top means that you just get innately you just get a ton of traffic, right? Most of that traffic though is churn.
Yeah, but traffic's traffic, doesn't matter. Yeah.
Traffic's traffic. You have that 25 seconds or whatever to convince them to stay.
Mm-hmm.
But how can you benefit off of that traffic? You're never going to be, never say never. You're never going to be this week. You're never going to be in the top 6 channels on all of Twitch, right? If I click on browse, who do we have? We have Overwatch League, Fortnite, Tifu.
There shouldn't be
Beyond the
anybody
Summit,
below
Myth,
10K on
Asmongold.
there.
No, they're all the top row is over 30K, right? So how are you ever going to show up on that page? You're not going to show up on that page.
Yeah.
You're going to show up as a secondary page, right? So when you click on, somebody playing World of Warcraft, and then they click on the word World of Warcraft, that's where you have the opportunity to actually appear, right? Because now I'm in World of Warcraft, and the top 6 streamers, it goes down to like 500 views. So that's where the opportunity is. The opportunity is in the secondary part there. It's actually really interesting to watch user flow. It's very difficult to watch user flow, but it's interesting. If you can only watch user flows of people that stick on channels for more than like a minute or two, because they have to be able to show up. But if you can do that, it's very interesting to watch. It's an interesting mapping where you just hey, this is something you could do. It's like you just see all the people that go into a massive channels page, and then where do they end up? Where are those? Take a snapshot of all the people that are in a channel. Where are they 5 minutes later on Twitch? Where are they 10 minutes later on Twitch? Where are they 15 minutes later on Twitch? Where are they 20 minutes? That's really interesting to look at. That breakdown, that chart. I forget what that type of chart is called, but whatever that type of chart is called.
Like a Sankey diagram?
Like a what?
A Sankey diagram?
Yeah, actually. I think so. Hold on, let me just make sure.
It's like the flow chart, right?
It's like, it's got like the big bar on the left side with all the different places it goes to after. That is, it's really interesting to look at that, especially over time, right? To see where people go over time. Really interesting.
That sounds fascinating.
We've done it before. It's really cool.
How do you guys measure? So we talked about the top of the funnel. How do you measure? Like, I imagine that, like, even though getting people to follow you and getting people to leave notifications enabled on Twitch is particularly useful, just because the system on Twitch isn't particularly useful.
Break it up again. I can't.
Sorry, I need to get closer to the mic. Is this better?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we talked about like the top of the funnel and how how you get people into the channel, and then I imagine like the next step is getting people to follow you or to sign up for some sort of notification system that works for them. So whether that's like Twitter or Discord. Or
I think Discord's probably the strongest. Maybe I underuse. I never post my streams on Twitter. I don't know how effective it is.
Or like some.
You don't post your streams on Twitter?
No, never. I told you why. One is I don't think
because you're afraid of like CEOs and people seeing you and being embarrassed about it.
And then that's a really heavy. That's a really heavy way to say it. But yeah, and the second thing is also I don't even think it's that effective. But I'm totally basing that off of nothing.
Okay. I'll base it off of something right now.
Sevadus is about to school my ass. I can tell. that's the tone, dude. You've been a bad boy tone.
Let's see here. Where is that click-through thing? Statistic. I know from external websites, Twitter's number 1.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
For you?
Yeah. Where is that? Actually, where is that data? Or was that something I wasn't supposed to see? Because right now all I'm seeing on the thing is views from outside Twitch, right? Which is not the same thing. So views from outside Twitch is not how many people are clicking through to you on Twitch. It's literally how many people are watching on external players.
Well, if you create a unique link through Twitter, it's really easy to tell. Or actually, Twitter itself should have those.
Actually, I can go to my Twitter.
Yeah,
analytics.
Twitter itself should have those data points.
I forget the URL. Is analytics.twitter or twitter.analytics? Analytics.twitter. I'll just go to my last time I tweeted a stream, which I haven't streamed in a week. So.
No, I know the right answer. They're saying, why didn't you create a separate Twitter? The right answer is literally just to get over it. And if those people are going to unfollow me, fuck them anyway. That's really the right answer.
Engagements. Here it is. All I did is live in 5 minutes, twitch.tv/Sevadus, engagements 344. That means 344 people. Well,
click the link.
Okay. Engagements also, you have to subtract some likes and stuff in there because of total engagements. Let's see.
Oh wait, that was one post got 344.
One post.
That's insane.
Well, click-throughs is 257. So link clicks 257.
That's
Still,
a
that's
lot.
like 3/4 or all of your unique views.
Yeah. I mean, it's
a huge Twitter.
For me, it works.
Seb also has a really large Twitter. That's true.
The thing is, I just don't. I'm followed by plenty of CEOs and stuff. I just don't give a shit. I mean, because I know they don't care either.
Yeah.
So like they don't care what I'm doing. I don't care what I really don't care what they're doing. I think following another executive on Twitter seems to be one of these, it's just a formality. You kind of just do it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of what you do.
What's that aphorism? Like, people would care a lot less about what other people thought of them if they realized how little
Yeah,
they do.
I think that's true. I also think that Twitter is so temporally based, it doesn't matter. Right?
Oh yeah.
The odds of a CEO actually seeing it and caring are so specifically low. It's just it's whatever. Because I mean, like now, however, if you were to post a permanent post on Instagram, those are there for much longer. So the problem with doing that, a permanent post on Instagram, stories are great, but a permanent post on Instagram, the problem is that it has such a large interaction tail. Yeah. Like, it's there for a long time. People can see it. People see it a long time out.
Ninja explained part of his success due to beat on Instagram. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm going really hard on Instagram, and I haven't noticed like much of anything.
Well, Ninja was posting gameplay.
You're right.
So
yes, he was.
There's a difference. Yeah. You're posting your pretty face. He's posting like highlights essentially. He's putting out clips onto Instagram.
I need to do that, but I need to find the doing so. I think have you heard of pillar content strategy? This is really interesting.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What did you say?
Have you heard of pillar content strategy?
Yes.
Okay, so the idea being that
but you should explain it for the
the idea being that you have a piece of pillar content, which would be like Twitch or YouTube, whatever sort of is the focus of your kind of deal. For me, obviously it would be Twitch. Then in that 6 or 7 hours of content is many different like good moments, right? Funny moments or like really good gameplay moments and stuff like that. So the idea of pillar content is like you have that one piece of content, then you create like 20 or 30 different pieces of content off of that content, and you syndicate it to platforms, sort of a best of. And that is like one of the things I identified. I was like, damn, I really, really need to hire someone that can do content editing to like look at that. It's just like a matter of like finding that person. And
here's a great example. On Instagram.com/ninja, the first post that he ever did of Fortnite gameplay has 40,000 likes. The previous post, which is of a dog, right? Think of it. Dogs, they're everywhere on Instagram, and I only get high likes on dogs, right? 8,000. So like the first time he posted Fortnite, it just that's what happened. And I think what he did that was so different. When was that? That was what, like last year or something. He posted that content, and it was just something that people just didn't do on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
So it was a piece of very unique content. And obviously with it, he links his Twitch stream. Don't forget, his thing is, don't forget to watch me live on twitch.tv/ninja, #Fortnite, right? It's just like, at that point, that was key.
I guess he's like given up on doing SEO because like now, or best practices anyways, the better words, because now he's like, oh, I see, he
might not even link it now.
Yeah,
but back then he certainly did.
So, like, in terms of content strategy, how much does it matter, like, what the substance of the video is versus just, like, the level of excitement or hype? You know, like, if it's something really sort of out there, like you're crushing defeat in, like, a Worms game or something like that, where, like, people might not even recognize what's going on, but just, like, the amount of, like, enthusiasm that you have or whatever, it's like, is that enough to drive viewership and this kind of engagement on Instagram?
I think that increases engagement, but not viewership.
Yeah. Okay. So it has to be something that, like, people recognize and like can relate.
In order to get a lot of eyes on it, it has to be something that's mass market, right? It has to be something that people know or understand or are searching for that hashtag. Then the second job is to keep them engaged, and you keep them engaged with being, over the top or having the headshot or whatever it is, right? Having the biggest worm in Worms. But if nobody's searching for worms, then who cares?
Nobody's searching for worms,
right?
Yeah.
How many people are searching for worms?
But people are probably searching for Warframe, for example.
Oh, I'm sure they're searching
and
for worms.
I can quantify this by going to
well, you can just use AdWords, right? Then you have to sort of, I don't think, does Instagram have I
have a website that does it, and actually, I'm just kidding. Not many people are looking for Warframe. Some people, but not really a crazy amount.
How do you know that? What website tells you how many people are looking for it?
Webstagram tells you how many people are posting about this hashtag and gives you a very good idea of like how large that hashtag is.
Oh, but that doesn't mean that's the people looking for it.
That's true. It's
so like
a really good
some
indicator,
sort of,
though.
You could do some sort of analog, say that maybe, I don't know, because you kind of almost need to have at least some sort of reference, right? What does that equate to as far as actual people looking for it?
Right. We don't know if there are like a small number of content producers producing for a massive audience. Or
well,
doesn't necessarily correlate in any meaningful
the thing
way,
is, though, that because like if a market is like really large,
well, here's a good example.
You'll have more content.
Hashtag Bugatti Veyron. So how many people are actually posting pictures of a Bugatti Veyron, right? Probably not many, but how many people are interested in Bugatti Veyrons?
Yeah.
A ton, right? Because everyone wants to see a like $2 million car. Well, not everybody. Some people want to see a $2 million car, right? But that's a great example where it's like, and the flip side of that, Minecraft, right? Think about Minecraft. The number of people posting Minecraft is like that ratio is flip-flopped. There's a ton of people posting about Minecraft.
Well, I think,
and probably even fewer people looking for it.
I think this is like a good indication of like popularity is that like Minecraft has 9.1 million posts, Warframe has 107. You can deduce from that there's many more people looking for Minecraft content than there is.
But that's how many people are posting. But when it comes
to like look at engagement with individual posts within this category
of Minecraft.
Yeah. I think it's going to vary.
Well, if you want to figure out how many people are searching for an actual hashtag on Instagram, I'm not sure that's actually possible.
Yeah, which is why you have to either do what you're doing or make some correlation between something like AdWords, right? Because there you can see how many people are viewing.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
It's a different platform, right? It's a completely different social platform. So like,
well, I just use AdWords as like a general like idea of like what the entire marketplace is doing. I think most people do.
But that doesn't really tell you how many people
couldn't you?
Huh?
You could do that with Facebook ads, couldn't you? Within your like demographic,
you could. You'll figure out exactly how many people are doing it. But I actually think AdWords is a more accurate representation because it includes people that are searching both on YouTube and Google, which is like pretty good. So if
absolutely. But when we're talking about specifically syndicating content to Instagram,
Facebook is a pretty good one because it owns it, and they're similar. They're both social media platforms. But then again, both of those platforms have totally different demographics themselves.
Do you have any faith in Facebook? Like, so you're saying like, let's say Twitter drives 300 clicks for you. Would you have any faith in making a consistent Facebook post that would do the same?
I've done it and it doesn't work for me.
Okay.
I do think it will work for some people. I don't think it just doesn't work for me. My audience just doesn't live on Facebook. Kids.
Maybe if you were doing like more political content or something like that, you might be able to pull more people over.
I always told Steven he should do it. He never did, but like I thought that'd be one of the most rewarding things for him if he did it.
Kids these days.
Let me see. So Warframe as a keyword on AdWords pulls that's not helpful. It says 100K to 1 million, which is like a huge range.
Super
yeah.
helpful.
I
mean, the golden nugget would be to have that for Instagram, right? Then it's like, oh, okay. But
yeah,
I think Instagram might also not enjoy that. Although you can advertise on Instagram, right? So
yeah, I do. That's how like a lot of my increase in engagement has been from advertising on Instagram. It's been really good for me.
So in that, is it as in depth as AdWords? Does it give you that information, or is it kind of like, eh?
The analytics are pretty good.
Because I know that they have the button promote post, right? You click.
Yeah, but
thing,
they don't have anything.
What?
The problem is they don't have like any like I guess like portal is what I would say, where you can actually look at the only way to do it is like go to the post and you kind of click on analytics. But like so like AdWords actually AdWords has a like platform where you can search words in it. Like Instagram doesn't have anything like that. You guys didn't realize that Instagram is the largest social media platform in the world.
Instagram is where to be right now for sure.
I
probably sound different, and I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. Yeah, by a huge margin.
I have to get my dog.
Like if I check my business settings, let's see, promotion payments. Let me look at the analytics that come. Yeah, Instagram is owned by Facebook. Instagram is insane, guys. It's actually so.
I mean, just look at the difference. Just look at the last picture you posted on Twitter. Look at the number of likes, and then look at the number of likes of the last picture you posted on Instagram.
Images are always,
as far as engagement.
Yeah, images are always easier to absorb. Dude, I don't even know where the hell this data is. Hang on a second.
It doesn't exist.
It does, just in some super weird ass place. Let me see. Like,
spending money on Instagram to grow your Instagram is actually pretty effective.
That's what it's insanely effective for me. Like if anyone looks at my growth over the last like month or two, it's unbelievable. Just from spending money on Instagram, and not even that much. It's pretty insane. It's my most successful social media platform, even though I've had my Twitter for years and stuff like that. I just passed 10K followers on Instagram. It's really, really good. I'm going to Google how to find Instagram analytics and then do it. Hang on. 'Cause I literally can't find it in the fucking app. Go to your business profile.
Excuse me. Everybody's got their doors closed.
Okay, it's right here. So it gives me profile visits, how many people I reached that weren't following me, which is really interesting. So like in this case, for this Hotshot GG post that I made, I should pull up my Instagram so people see it. But I can't show you guys this on. So for this Hotshot GG post that I made, 1,800 people that weren't following me saw it. It shows me impressions. It shows me where those impressions are from, and that's it. That's not a lot.
It didn't show you. It didn't show you a conversion.
if I put no, because you can't link things on Instagram. So
no, I mean a conversion to a follower on Instagram.
No, it doesn't.
Because you had 1,800 views. What they should do is something like a 5-minute. Who has a 5-minute conversion, right? So of those 1,800 people, how many followed you within the next 5 minutes of viewing?
Yeah, I won't tell you that. It'll tell you how many visited your profile as a result of the picture. You average 1K likes on Instagram posts. Why aren't you uploading images when you go live? Because the way that I'm doing Instagram marketing right now, the large majority of those discoveries, probably about 1,000 of them, are from the tags that I'm using and the way that I'm using those tags and the way that I'm promoting the post. So the majority of the people that are viewing this are not my followers. For this one, which was pretty successful, I have no idea why. I'm still trying to figure it out. This one had 1,886 likes, and the 886 or so of those, like maybe 900 of them or so, were like people that directly interacted with me, and then some other amount was like discovery based on these hashtags, like appearing on Twitch TV, Gamer Life, and stuff like that, if that makes sense.
Is that how you came to the conclusion that you should optimize for a gamer boy?
Yeah, it is. That's actually like Harkdan gives me a lot of shit about that, but my Instagram is kicking everybody's ass because I'm using tags like that. I know you didn't mean that seriously, but I'm bragging anyway.
No, I absolutely did. I'm not needling you.
Yeah, it's exactly how. So like here, I'll show you. Like, so what I'll do is I'll go to a website like hang on one second. Let me see. So I'll go to a website like Webstagram, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'll look for the tag gamer, okay? And if I use hashtag gamer, then that has 18.5 million posts, right? So it's pretty. So the way that this hashtag works is that if I go to hashtag gamer on Instagram, it's going to show me 9 pictures that are competing for discovery in this moment, okay? These 9. And these are the ones that are getting discovery on this, and most of these are probably huge because like there's like a Fortnite one. It's really hard to compete. So if I try to attack gamer, I'm probably not going to get that. Instagram has really good machine learning, which Sevadus and I have talked about before. So if I do hashtag gamer girl, it's going to know that I'm not a gamer girl, right? Okay. Hashtag gamer guy, okay, pretty good, but still 2 million posts. It's going to be really hard to compete there. All right, so let's go down to hashtag gamer boy, right? 405,000 posts, and most of them are irrelevant. And this is a really good place to compete. I got on discovery for that tag for 9 hours, and it got me a shit ton of follows.
So it's like playing on the curve, like we were talking about earlier with like attacking viewers or attacking streams with hosts that are like within your optimal range or whatever from.
But really, to optimize what Devin is doing there on Instagram, you have to know the other part of the equation. Right, you have to know how many people are searching for that in relation to how many people are posting about it, right?
Well, you can assume.
But I understand why Instagram doesn't do that, because if they did give you both pieces of information, everybody would, like the next day, it would be, here's how to optimize, right? Use these exact keywords. You know, it's all this, like, it would kind of, I think it would kind of ruin it.
You can derive that there's
looking at like engagement on posts related to tags and like aggregating that to figure that information out. I mean, you obviously can't get raw click-throughs or whatever, but engagement would be like an analog for that.
I feel like engagement could work, yeah. As long as you're able to somehow get, like, okay, so for gamer, what is it, gamer boy? What does Instagram allow you to pull off of it, right? Does it allow you to pull off just the top engaged posts and then you can do math on that? Or is it a random set of posts? Like what does Instagram just allow you to get?
I mean, in an ideal world, you would just pull all of the Instagram posts.
Yeah, and that's not gonna.
Gamer memes is like a huge hashtag. Oh no, it isn't. This would be really good. But what was the memes hashtag that was like absolutely huge? That I was like, so gamer memes would be a really good hashtag. Yeah. The thing is,
But you don't know that it's a be
yes,
really a
I
hashtag.
do.
Do
Fuck,
you?
you're tilting me because the number of people posting corresponds to the number of people that are engaging with it. Otherwise, the market wouldn't be there. The market is there because those people are posting it. Does that make sense?
So no, it doesn't make sense because what you're saying then is that you should post in Fortnite.
No, because
If
you
you're
will never
saying
be discovered
you're-
versus the number of people that are there.
So,
Yeah.
but where's that over under?
I don't understand.
How do you determine that over under? How do you determine where the sweet spot is? Because what you're describing is a sweet spot,
Okay, it's between
right? So have you just
400,000.
arbitrarily chosen that 400,000 ish?
No, this is something I know a lot about. Okay, so the way that Instagram weights posts, right? Is they are looking at your relevancy as a profile to the hashtag you're posting, and then the amount of likes and comments and engagements you're getting over a certain period of time. It's 30 minutes, 1 hour, 4 hours, and then 24 hours. And they're doing a check every single time in the algorithm to try to figure out when, like, how many comments do I have at this point? How many likes do I have at this point? How many like-minded people are engaging with these likes or engaging with likes and engaging in this way? So if you are trying to compete in a like hashtag gamer, right? There's so many more people that are engaging with that hashtag with more relevant accounts that you'll have no chance of appearing. So the whole idea is to appear on the top. I hope I don't click something that I just get some random boobs, but the whole idea is to appear on the top 9. If you appear on the top 9, then you're in the top of discovery for this hashtag for anywhere between 1 to 24 hours. If you can get onto the top of gamers, it's amazing, but there's no way you'll ever be able to do it because the competition is too fierce. So you're looking for posts between like 200,000 to like maybe 1 million max, because that's what's going to actually get you on front of that discovery so that everybody that does click through that tag get recognized from. Does that make sense?
But yeah, I understand that. But how do you know that? Like, how do you know what the optimal number that you're looking for is without knowing the other side of the equation?
Because you have to.
No, the answer
can't
could
know
be
it.
you don't know.
You can't know it, but it doesn't matter because you can discern how engagement works based on the number of posts. So it's like because I know what you're saying. You're like, oh, there's absolutely no way to determine the other side of the equation, but you don't need it to solve the problem. Does that make sense?
It doesn't necessarily make sense for optimizing. Like
There's no
what
other
you're
way to do it.
saying is, I agree. Well, now I don't agree with that because Slug came up with it. It's a very interesting way of doing it. But I agree. There's no other way to do it except for what he mentioned.
Well,
which is actually really interesting and something I might want to code tonight because that's very interesting. But if you're just going off of what I'm saying is if you're just going off of raw number of posts, you don't know if you're just picking a number, you're just assuming that you're picking a somewhat optimal number, but you don't know that you're picking an optimal number.
My problem with your argument is you're making it look like it's a totally blind assumption, but it absolutely isn't. Like, there's a huge difference between 18.5 million posts on Gamer and like 400 posts on Gamer Boy, right? Like, there's an objective difference between the number of engagement there, because like obviously like many more people are engaging with that first hashtag than they are the second one.
Yeah, I think all we're saying is that there's like it's a spectrum. And that like your ideal range within that spectrum is, I mean, it may even be somewhere around that you've sort of arbitrarily picked, but you can't be certain. Like you could be, like off of center or something. It's certainly working for you, and that's absolutely fantastic. But there could be a point somewhere where you could be doing even better.
Yeah, okay, so there could be an example where like, okay, maybe hashtag, so here's where I agree, right? Hashtag game related has only 8,977 posts, but maybe there's 1 million people searching for that term, right? But that,
exactly.
Yeah, and so that would be fantastic if I was like a master scientist, astro rocket backwards engineer, and I could download all of Instagram's posts and figure that out. But I can't do that. So, and nobody realistically
that's what we're
can
saying.
do that.
We can build a tool that does a proxy of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what we're saying is that tool a proxy of that can exist. Right? If you're able to go look into that hashtag, and even if it is retrieve all posts in the last 24 hours, in fact, temporally is probably even better, right? So retrieve all posts with this hashtag in the last 24 hours, add up all the number of interactions, and then use that as your ratio of interactions to posts, which is really the key, right? You want to be in a place with the highest interactions to posts.
But that isn't that
I think that's totally doable.
to the like, so let's say that I'm a really hot chick, right? I'm poking Mane or whatever, and I get amazing engagement for my post. That would skew that number, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
you
still
have to produce the most entertaining content, right? Just like on Twitch, you still have to produce entertaining content.
Yeah. So what I'm
None
saying,
of it matters if you're not producing entertainment content.
So I guess
we're assuming, just like with on Twitch when we were talking about statistics, we are still assuming that you're producing entertaining content.
But what I'm saying is that the popular people will skew the result for the hashtag. Like Ninja doing hashtag Fortnite just indicates that it doesn't necessarily indicate that Fortnite is a good hashtag to use. It indicates that Ninja is using it and it's working for him. So the interaction
so the popular
on that,
people would, okay, you're right. The popular people would skew that statistic if you're only looking at the mean, but we could theoretically come up with something to the games chart that I guess we're both looking at that. Like you could say, like, based on your previous engagement with posts on your account, this is where we would expect you to rank within this hashtag if you were looking at like the list on Instagram.
So if that were something that was possible, why hasn't anyone done that yet? Because there's like,
I don't know. I feel like this industry is in its nascency. Like there's still like much low-hanging fruit.
There are millions and millions of dollars. I cannot tell you how many millions of dollars, billions of dollars that are going into people trying to grow their Instagrams. The amount of marketers and like people that are behind this is like, I understand it for Twitch, and I would agree with you that the best tools are not available to analyze Twitch metrics, simply because the industry just hasn't been discovered on that scale. But I absolutely disagree with that with Instagram. The best of the best are working on solving this problem. There's no way that two dudes on a phone call are like, hey, let's do this. And that's never been like, there's no idea.
No, okay, so I would never say that no one has ever done this before, but what I would say is that someone has probably done this before and is probably working in some agency and doesn't.
Yeah, and they're probably keeping a secret.
Oh my God, there's no fucking way, guys. Like, we didn't just big brain it and figure out Instagram, I promise you.
If I had an agency that made this thing, just like I do have an agency that has a ton of tools, I am never telling anybody the secret sauce to those tools. There's no way. Why would I do that?
Because you sell a course, for example, where your entire business model is monetized that way.
No, I make way more money off of people just paying me.
Okay, then you run a service where you have where people buy followers, which like tons of people do, and or buy your algorithm or whatever, and that's another thing that people sell. And there's a bunch of agencies that are using. I'm sure they're using somewhat similar metrics to what we've just described, but they're doing it for these massive talent, or they're making massive talent. Yeah, that should be right. Yeah, that's believable, right? Like there's agencies out there that are like know the most optimum ways to like grow Instagrams and stuff, and like the guys that are like running like Kylie Jenner's Instagram and stuff like that probably have like amazing data to this end. Yeah, but I can promise you it's not like, again, two guys on a Discord call being like, well, we got it, guys. Like all we got to do is like scrape the last 9 posts of these hashtags. Like there's no way.
I don't think that either of us are saying that this is like a perfect solution. All we're saying that this is like a just approach to getting somewhere near an optimal number.
I see.
Like it gets you closer.
But I just don't see how it's any more relevant than number of posts in this case, because again, like the way that it gets skewed, right? If let's say that like Ninja is the only person using the Fortnite hashtag, that like the amount that it gets skewed, right? Because of like he gets 1 million views per engagement. One might assume that using the Fortnite hashtag is the most effective thing because of that, but it's not. It's just because it's Ninja. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we're looking at like...
No, that's actually not true. If Ninja was the only person using the Fortnite hashtag, you should absolutely use the Fortnite hashtag.
Yeah.
Because there will be trickle down. That is the perfect case, in fact, of when to use the Fortnite hashtag.
Oh, and you're saying your data would reveal that.
Right, because we're looking at the distribution now. We're not looking at like an average. We're trying to figure out like where you would be in that list if you were using that hashtag.
Right, you would be number 2, right? If Ninja was the only one, you'd be number 2, and that'd be the perfect place to be.
Yeah, all other variables controlled, but the problem is like Instagram is using a like machine learning thing to determine your placement in these hashtags that not even Instagram understands. So like if
I agree with that.
Yeah.
That part, I totally agree with that. But I would expect if you are able to. The hell did this guy just pull out in front of me for? Someone just put out a SpaceX and I almost fucking ran into their Tesla. Sorry. Is it Elon? No.
is it Elon scream at him?
Oh God, what an idiot. Not Elon. Well, okay. Skip that. Yeah, what we're saying is, I assume, and it might be a wrong assumption, I assume interactions with you, like the more interactions that you have, the higher chance of being featured is.
It's so random. Like
Chart is.
I pulled up the gamer lifestyle hashtag right now, and one of my posts is featured right now on gamer lifestyle as a top post. I posted this on July 15th. And it's still there, right? I have no idea why. Like the Instagram algorithm is anyone's guess. It's like some bananas freaking like rogue AI that like figured itself out and is now running a random.
So then why do you?
It's not random.
Then why do you care? Like then why are you choosing which hashtags? Because you're trying to get into that discovered thing, but you're saying it's now a complete black box, and so does it matter?
Because I understand some aspects of the black box, and so I know based on those aspects that I understand that that tags from 200,000 to 1 million are way more effective than larger ones. And I tried to explain that before about how I know that, but I don't know if it worked.
Well, yeah. What I think my argument is you don't know that. Like you assume that, but you don't know that.
I know it in the same way that you know the amount of time that a person engages on a stream.
No.
I do.
Well, no, because I know we have data for that.
Yeah, and Instagram has data for this.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to a dude
I don't think it's any.
I think it means like this number may not actually correlate to the number that you're setting.
Okay, so I have no other way to say this. I have a dude at Instagram that is telling me this and telling me why and telling me how the engagement algorithm works to their understanding.
This is new information.
Okay, so I when I'm telling you that I have 200,000 to 1 million posts, I objectively can tell you why that is and tell you it's backed by the algorithm.
And I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I'm saying there's still so much optimization to be done even inside that space.
If they are biasing for that, then that should be something that like we could also see when we look at as close to the raw information as we can get.
They can't. There's nothing to bias there.
So if you
there's nothing to bias because you're just searching by hashtag. So now you're in your own closed system. There's nothing to bias.
But the ranking within the hashtag doesn't necessarily need to be like by engagement. It can be by some internal machine learning that they do. And so like if
which we don't know.
Right, exactly. But so if the machine learning is applying some bias to like, hold on, but we're talking about, never mind, excuse me, that was complete. No, you're right. For some reason, I was saying that like Instagram could be biasing content within the tag listing, but we weren't talking about within the tag listing. We were talking about like the range that they were biasing for tags themselves.
Right, we're talking about multiple tags. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which doesn't make any sense. Like,
it's weighing, right? Like your likes, your comments, who has more follows that likes your page also, and then comments on it, right? And then it's coming up with it's comparing that against other people trying to do the same thing within those hashtags, and then it posts the ones that win. So it's a sort of
and all of that all makes sense. Like that all could totally make sense. What I'm saying and suggesting is that there is a better way to choose more optimal tags.
So the
that's
part
what I'm suggesting.
Don't understand is like there's a better way to choose more optimal tags.
You can choose tags based on additional points of data that you're currently not using. You're only using one point of data right now.
Yes.
And we're saying there is a second point of data that does exist that is retrievable from Instagram.
And what I'm saying is, I don't think that piece of data that you're talking about gives you any more insight into it than me just guessing the number of posts.
It gives you a ratio of interactions per post in that hashtag.
Subjective to the content creator doing it, yes.
No, it gives you a median. You take a median of that entire post. How many, like across the entire thing? What is the median number of interactions per post? It's just like minutes watched on Twitch.
Yeah.
And so you want to put yourself into hashtags that have a higher median. That means more people are searching and interacting with it than people are posting. That's kind of where you want to be posting, right? You want to post where there's a low number of posters and a high number of viewers.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So that like brings me back to my question: why has nobody done that? Why isn't there a tool?
I think people have done. I know. I genuinely think people have done that. I just don't think it is a public tool that does it right now.
Huh. Okay.
Like that would be if I was running some creative agency that really dealt heavily with Instagram. Absolutely, that's one of the first tools you make.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm guarantee I can't guarantee it obviously, but there's no way that doesn't already exist somewhere. It's just not probably public knowledge right now. Like all these these social companies make so much money off of algorithms like that.
Yeah.
You know?
I see what you're saying now. Okay. I mean, I'm looking for a tool right now that
Good luck. You actually, oh man. The problem I think is that you almost have to have a business to do it because in order to be able to really do that for that many hashtags, you have to pay for massive API access to be able to actually do all those calculations. So it almost can never be free because you have to make some sort of money off of it in order just to pay for the access that Instagram gives you to make the tool.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's obviously people that are creating this, but they're only like linking like the top 90 hashtags that are the most popular is what I'm looking at right now. So like there's
that's a great way to bring people in, right? Here's like, hey, here's the top 10 interaction to post ratios. And then you bring people in and say, okay, now pay for the rest.
Yeah, that's exactly what these things are. Yeah. I can't find like an Instagram search tool that would be like equivalent to like AdWords, for example. Huh.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing is AdWords, what I just told you, AdWords does that for you.
Yeah.
It just kind of does it.
Okay, well let me ask you a
they
question.
built it all in-house.
Could I compare, let's say that I search gamer on AdWords and then I search gamer life on AdWords, right? I could compare the searches there and get some idea.
I was talking about that earlier, and that's when he brought up using Facebook to do it instead of Google, because Google, the weird thing, Google's not really a social network.
Right.
So it's hard to decide that what people are searching on Google would be the same as what people are searching on Instagram.
Yeah, it clearly isn't.
I think it is closer. It's not the same, but it's probably closer if you were to use somebody like a Facebook who is a social platform and then do a comparison there.
But there's no keyword tool on Facebook, right? In the same.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah.
Yeah. The only I actually don't know how you get your data off Facebook. I'd have to look into it.
Yeah, but what you're really looking for is in recent time, because you don't care about, for example, if the like a popular hashtag would be something like Trump v. Clinton, right?
Yeah. Which
probably has a crap ton of posts and a crap ton of engagements, but nobody cares about it anymore. So nobody's searching for it now.
Yeah.
So what you really also want, in addition to what you're talking about, is that third variable of time. How many posts of that hashtag have been in the last 24 hours, and how many engagements with those posts have happened in the last 24 hours?
Right.
That's the key. I think that number is how you truly optimize what you're doing. I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. I'm just saying now the next step. What's the next step to optimize that?
Yeah.
Is to do that calculation with like say 30 or 40 gaming related hashtags. and just see which one has that highest ratio.
I see. Okay. Yep, that makes tons of sense. Huh.
I think I'm going to lose connection here.
Uh-oh.
I'm about to pick up my dog. So whenever you last hear me, that will be my goodbye.
That'll be my goodbye. Okay.
I think down this road I lose connection.
Oh, no. Well, thank you so much
Oh,
for
God.
coming on to talk.
Yeah, much love. We should get back together and talk more about this. All
Yeah,
three of us
definitely. It
at
feels
some
like
point.
there's some stuff we should mention offline too. Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, we should definitely have an offline call about this.
Okay,
For sure.
let me I'll create a group between you two. Let's figure that out. Just and then like, are we on for the next Friday too?
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome, man. Yeah, thank you so much for spending the time with me. And
All right,
Thanks,
take
man.
it easy,
Enjoyed
guys.
chatting.
Bye.
bye.
Thanks. Take care.
So, Slugalisk, your conclusions. So you haven't reached any conclusions with your data yet, right?
No, no. I want more data. I want more certainty.
Uh huh.
Like, so the thing about statistics is that you work in like degrees of certainty. You're never like positive about something. You can just like move closer to the truth.
I see.
And so at some point you can be so certain that that like it would be like, you know, astronomically improbable that something isn't the case, but like that may take a very long time to achieve.
Yeah.
And so what we're working toward is like being certain enough that we can start making suggestions with some level of confidence, and I guess seeing how that plays out. And at this point, like I've mostly been focusing, since I think the last time we chatted about this, on stabilizing my platform, making sure that I'm collecting accurate and complete data to the extent that is available from Twitch. Like starting to explore the data, watching and reading and like researching as much as I can about like the platform and the approaches that we take to analyze this stuff. Basically doing like a whole lot of groundwork, so then later I can start automating a lot of the analysis that actually looks like it's going to yield fruitful results, or like, you know, be able to produce like actionable suggestions.
I see. How long do you think that would take to like actually come to those conclusions and stuff?
It's going to depend heavily on the types of questions that we're asking, and that's where like I'm gonna go back and rewatch this video to like make sure that I didn't miss anything, take a lot of notes and stuff like that. So like understand the kind of questions that were asked that like we weren't able to answer off the top of the or off the cuff. And I would hope that like we could have this discussion again at some point, and go back over some of those. Also, like talking to you guys offline or whatever, to understand if there are any questions. It sounds like Sev has like a comprehensive data set.
He does.
He's
He
done
legit
a
does.
ton of research into this. So like
Yeah.
I'm really just working on like catching up to where he
I
is
see.
in a lot of these places.
Can you add me as a friend real quick on Discord? Because
Oh yeah, absolutely.
let me create a group with you and him, and we'll find a time to do it offline. Because I think that I agree. There's like a lot of stuff that both Sev and I can't talk about because we're under like 700,000 million NDAs.
Yeah, I completely understand.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. Let me see if I can add you. Okay.
But in any event, this talk was like super fruitful and like very enjoyable. I'm glad I had a chance to talk with you guys.
Oh, good, man. I'm glad we could bring you on then. That was like my intention in bringing you in. I thought that you two would like hit it off, and you did because you're both stats guys.
Yeah, Sam seems like a really smart guy.
He is unbelievably intelligent, to a degree that I'm finding out every week. Like it's pretty crazy. Every time that I talk with him, I come away with like 3 new things to do for my channel.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Very cool.
All right, man. Well, thank you for coming out, and like I created that group, so we'll talk in there and figure out when we can talk to Sev offline.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you.
Take care.